Running through my mind all day, waiting for her show to play. Turn your radio on, she's gonna play your favorite song.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Operation Growth Show with Coach Brandi. We are thankful that you have joined us for yet another exciting episode of our show. On last week, we talked to Archita Fritz and Olivia Cream about all that they are doing to help women to show up and not be invisible, as we talked about embracing only. And today we have a phenomenal guest, Kerwin Thompson, that we are going to talk to about being on purpose and what it looks like and feels like to know that you are moving within your purpose. Kerwin is an actor and a coach in his own right, and we are thrilled to have him join us today. So stand by and we will get started with Kerwin Thompson. Kerwin, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you, Coach Brandi?
Hi, how are you, Coach Kerwin?
I am fantastically well.
So I want to get right into it because you have so much to share with our audience about your journey to purpose and really knowing what you've been placed here to do. And so, how did that being on purpose journey start for you?
For what I'm doing now?
Yes.
Wow. It started with being knocked down several times. you know, I've had several iterations of my professional life, from working in the air defense industry with Boeing to being an entrepreneur to being a double entrepreneur at the same time, to then the Great Recession came and knocked me out of that, and then I went back to work in the corporate sector and got laid off after just a year, even though I was their most versatile employee. And I was like, wait a minute, time out. Okay, what's going on, God? Me and you need to have a conversation. And so I just talked to God and I said, all right, lead me in the way that I'm supposed to go. Show me what I'm supposed to do, because I don't want to keep making the same mistakes or having the universe knock me off of a path that I had put myself on because it's the wrong path for me. Show me the right way. And so I prayed and I meditated and I waited for the answer. And I waited and I waited and I waited, because I was determined to do what was destined for me, what I'm supposed to be doing, what my purpose was. And it took 6 months for the answer to come. I waited that long. But when the answer came, it was clear as a bell. The acting was what I was supposed to be doing. And so from that point on, I went with it 100%.
So moving 100% into something that took 6 months to come together. And then once it came together, really not knowing what to do first, I would assume.
Right.
Um, how did you get started once you heard clear as a bell that that was what you were supposed to do?
I got some mentors and some coaches. That was the
Okay.
first thing that I did. I reached out to my friends who were professional actors that I had grown up with, that I had trained with, people who knew my skill set and could vouch for me, um, who knew that that I'm nice with it, right? And could tell people that they know in the professional industry, that I'm good at what I do. And they took me everywhere, to every industry party, to every opening, to every show, to every audition, and I just pressed flesh with people. This is pre-pandemic, where you can actually shake hands and meet in person and all those good things. Um, and I went back to class to sharpen the skill set to become as good as I can, and I'm still doing that to this day. But yeah, I got some coaching and some mentoring, and had people show me around and show the ropes, and I stayed in it. I immersed myself in it. If anything was going on in the acting community, I was there. I didn't miss any event, any opportunity. And I just kept showing up. And then, even if I hadn't met people, I'm becoming a familiar face to people to people who have met me and people who haven't met me. I'm that familiar face. Where do I know that brother? That brother keeps showing up. He looks interesting. Let me go see who he is. Now they're approaching me, and we're having great dialogue. So that's how it started.
Wow. So from not knowing what you wanted to do to engaging with friends and coaches who helped and mentored and supported you, um, what does it look like to go from having a steady 9 to 5, where you know
Mhm.
where the money is coming from, to being an actor and really building from scratch?
It's harrowing, right? It's very unnerving. It's very unsettling, um, because you don't have the stability of knowing that in 2 weeks you're getting the next paycheck, and in those 2 weeks that paycheck is going to be the same size as it was 2 weeks ago, right? You don't have that anymore. I mean, the rug is pulled completely out from underneath you. You don't have that financial security that you're used to. Um, so you have to make sure that you love what you do, that you are sure that it's what you're supposed to be doing, because that is what's going to fuel you and keep pushing you forward through the uncertain times. And what I have come to learn over the years, which is why I don't feel any uncertainty anymore, I don't feel any anxiety anymore, is that when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, things work out. The bills get paid one way or another. You don't see when it's going to happen, but it always comes right on time. You know, I'd have $50 in my bank account. The electric bill is due on Tuesday, and the electric bill is $70, right? And I got $50 in the account. I'll get a call on Sunday saying, "Hey, can you come and read scripts with us for a couple of hours? We'll pay you $30 to do it." Hallelujah. Now I got $80 to pay this $70 bill, and there's not a whole lot left over, but the bills are paid. The bills are barely paid, but when it comes to bills, barely counts. You understand? As long as they're paid, you're good. And then you move on to the next thing. You just stay focused on what your dream is and keep grinding. You got to keep hustling. You know, People were calling me offering gigs because they had met me at all these industry events and they knew who I was, and I had built up um, a little bit of a reputation, a little bit of a following. And the more work that I did, the more I got to prove myself, the more people would call, the more bills got paid.
So, what do you say to individuals who are in that space of, okay, now I know what I'm going to do. Now I am starting to do it and I'm uncertain. It's kind of scary waiting for that extra $30 to be able to pay my electric bill. And so I'm now distracted. I'm doing other things that may not be a part of my purpose. And how does that impact them moving forward and being successful?
It's quicksand.
Mhm.
Anything that is not part of your purpose is quicksand. It it slowly takes you away from what you're supposed to be doing. And if you stay in it long enough, you're just gonna sink all the way through. It's those types of distractions, they're dream killers. And you just can't have it. You gotta block it out. Super
Wow.
focused.
So when you're super focused and seeing other people doing other things, right? Sometimes
Mhm.
we compare, and we're going to have a great episode coming up about comparison. So I hope you all will watch that. Um, what does it look like? What does it feel like to be in this state of comparison with others around what it is that you've been placed here to do?
Say that one more time.
What does it feel like to be in comparison with others around what it is that you've been placed here to do? When you look at others who are either doing better, worse, etc., than you.
Yeah. Um, it's motivation either way, whether they're doing better than me or they're doing worse than me, right? If they're doing worse than me, I remember when I was on that level, and it makes me thankful for where I am now. And that's very, very encouraging. When I see people doing better than me, it's also very, very encouraging because I understand that they put on their pants one leg at a time like I do. So it's possible for me to get there, just like they got there. Seeing other people, especially my peers, people that I've shared stages with or small screens with, um, when they go and do something great, I know that I can do it too because I've held my own with them, you know, tried and true. So it's encouraging to see other people doing their thing, whether they're on my level or below or above.
From the outside looking into acting, it looks as though there would be a lot of competition with
Hmm.
others who are doing the same thing. And how do you manage to deal with that competition without falling into being envious or concerned about what other people are doing?
Being aware that what is for me, and
Mhm.
can't nobody take it from me. And what is for them is for them, and I can't take it from them. Um, that is the singular key to keeping envy and jealousy away. You know, I audition for a part, put my whole heart and soul into it. I either get it or I don't get it. If I get it, it's because it was for me. If I don't get it, it's because it was for somebody else, and I need to let it go and bless that person. Hope they do well, and then I move on to the next thing.
Right, right. So, what type of a foundation, like spiritual foundation, um, heart centered focus, like what allows you to be able to be this calm in the face of all of these obstacles toward doing your purpose?
All this gray hair, you see it. You see it. Like, there's a lesson, 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 right? I'm calm now. You understand? Like, there was times where I was frenetic and losing my mind and stressing out and having all this anxiety about things. And that's where all this gray came from. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a young man with all this gray hair. I've been through a lot of stress in my life. But I've come through it and I've learned the lessons. Sometimes I had to repeat the course 2 or 3 times to learn the lesson, but I've learned the lesson and now I can share those things with you. And so I look back at all the times where I was fearful or I had anxiety about something, and I saw that I came through those things, despite what it looked like. I came through on the other side. I'm here. I am successful. Um, my friend Dat Paxton shared something to me this morning. Actually, it's apropos and it's right on time. Dap says that anxiety is a needless emotion. It's absolutely unnecessary. You don't need to have the anxiety. Number one, anxiety doesn't solve the problem. Being anxious about it doesn't help one bit, you know? And once you're done with that, then you still got to deal with the issue. Then you deal with the issue and you come through on the other side. Even though you didn't think you could make it, you get there. All that worrying about it and anxiety was completely unnecessary. It's a mirage, it's a facade, it's smoke and mirrors.
I'm starting to understand that maybe actors have a insight that some of us other mere mortals don't have, because you have to go through so much just to be able to do your craft and make a living from your craft once you've figured out that that's what you're supposed to be doing. And
Mhm.
so, what is it that you would share with other actors, or other people who have just figured out what their purpose is? What would you share with them on how to be able to navigate maybe some of the things you've learned from the gray hairs?
um, don't try to do it all yourself. You know, there are no self-made people in this world. I don't give a damn what they say. Somebody helped them get to where they are. Somebody helped them out. And without that particular somebody, they wouldn't be nothing. So realize that asking for help, there's no shame in that. You know, realize that you're not going to be able to get to your final destination unless somebody helps you. You know, you have to humble yourself and say, hey, I need help. I'm willing to do my part, but I need somebody to help me. I need somebody to open up the door for me to walk through it. I'm willing to walk through it, but I ain't got the key to it. I need somebody to come and unlock that door so that I can turn the handle and walk through. Um, so realize that asking for help um, is not shameful, is necessary. And get you a mentor, get you a coach, get you some tenacity, some toughness, and some perseverance. You know, get you a box of Kleenex for the tough days, the days that you cry. Let it all out. I give myself a 24-hour rule. When things go bad and I feel sad about it, I give myself 24 hours to wallow in it, to feel sad for myself, to, for the self-pity, for me to feel the sadness and the emotion and the disappointment. I give myself 24 hours to go through all that and process it. And then get back on the horse. We get back to work. We go after the next thing. So all of those things is what I would say you need to do.
I love it. I love it. There's so many nuggets within what you shared. The idea that you have to get back up on the horse, the idea that you have to allow yourself to cry it out sometimes. I used to dance it out, like, Grey's
Right,
Anatomy, dance it out.
right,
But then once you're done with that, you have to get back to the business of getting the work done and moving on with what it is that you called and said is your purpose. So I love those things. I hope that they're really helpful for the people that are watching today. But on the flip side of our break, I want to talk to you a little bit more about how that purpose and you walking in your purpose has made room for other things and how you've been able to attract the opportunities through your talent and your grit and your tenacity and a few of those gray hairs to be able to do the things that you've really been placed here to do. So we'll be right back. And we're back. You're hilarious. Okay, so now we are talking about what it is that you attracted from your purposeful walk. Like what things started to come to you that you didn't even realize would come based on the fact that you were moving in purpose and doing the things you've been placed here to do.
The journey, everything in between, I didn't know what would happen. Like I knew what my end goal was, which is to be a majorly successful TV and film actor. That's the end goal, professionally speaking. I didn't know what the journey would look like to get there, like how many gigs and what type of gigs, would be necessary to get there. Um, so yeah, the steps in between. I'm giving you a general answer. The steps in between are the things that were uncertain. To be more specific, um, I didn't know, where I was going to start, who's going to give me my first opportunity, and then somebody gives you a chance to do a show for $50, and then you work in, the Chitlin circuit, things that pay less than $100. You work in here and there, and then you meet somebody else. Shout out Mia Kristen Smith. Um, Mia kept me working, before anybody knew who I was, $100 here, $200 there, but she would keep me on certain platforms and took me to Indiana for the Fringe Festival, and we performed out there. That's the first and only time that I performed in Indiana, but I've been there and I've done it. Um, Crazy road trip. You start building associations that become, lifelong friendships. She and her wife ended up coming to my wedding. You know, um, all from those types of little things. The next thing you know, you're on a bigger stage, and it pays more money. Um, Not a whole lot of money, but significantly more than what I was making before. And then you make another, friendship and partnership with somebody who's in the cast, and you end up working with them down the line someplace else. And then that leads to another audition, which leads to, me breaking into the theater union and, significantly getting paid, um, a living wage, and making lifelong friendships from that association, from that show. Shout out to Triad Stage and uh, Keith Arthur Bolden, who directed that show, who gave me my first union contract. And then, next thing you know, we have, I had a 5-year plan in theater. When I decided I was going to turn professional, I gave myself 5 years to go back to theater. It had been like 10 years since I had been on the stage. Let me go back to sharpen the skills in theater, because I don't give a damn what nobody says. That's where the talent is. There ain't no take twos there. You don't need to just memorize one scene at a time. No, you need to know the whole book. And if anything goes wrong, you need to be able to save it. Save your partner, your scene partner, save yourself, play off any technical malfunctions. All that stuff, you got to be quick on your feet. Whereas on TV and film, they just say cut and they reset. You don't have to have that sharpness, that awareness, that preparedness. It's a whole different thing. So my 5-year plan, and then I was going to go to TV and film. 5 years turned into 5.5. Um, and then at that 5.5 year point, I started transitioning into TV and film, and I was getting some commercial opportunities, some industrial opportunities, which commercial industrials are commercials that are made for a company that are only seen internally in the company. They're usually for their employees, some kind of instruction manual or something like that, or something they show at a trade show, but not something that you're going to see on television, right? So I was getting those, and then the pandemic hit, and during the pandemic, I moved all the way across the country because I had gotten married to this lovely lady, who lived all the way on the other side of the world. And I was leaving everything that I knew professionally behind. It's another transition. I didn't see it coming. And now we're starting from scratch. And you just got to believe that everything is working out for your highest good, which it is. And then 6 months after I got to the Weco, on West Side, shout out, um, I booked a major television gig. And it's 6 months after I'd been here. And I'm going to be playing King Silas on Disney Plus, in a show called The Quest, which will come out this summer. So look for that. It's a medieval show. You ain't never in your life seen no black person on the throne in a medieval show. I'm the first. And it feels great. And it came with an awesome responsibility, but a great opportunity, to show us in a great light, and to show, the younger generations what's possible. Representation matters. When I grew up, I saw one person one black person in a medieval show. That was Morgan Freeman and Kevin Costner's Robin Hood, right? Other than that, we ain't see no black people in those shows. If you do, they're in like really, really small roles. You see them for half a second, and that's it. Nothing prominent. So my idea of what was medieval was all white people, as if black people aren't the original people and black people ain't all over the globe, right? It was very exclusionary. Well, this show is very inclusionary. We have people from almost every ethnicity involved in this show. And I think that's going to be great for all the little children of all different ethnicities to be able to see themselves on television. So watch out for The Quest coming this summer on Disney Plus. Your man's playing King Silas. None of
So
that I saw coming.
none of it.
Circling back to your original question, none of that I saw coming.
But you did put it out there into the universe that these are the things that I would like to see happen. And in the end, I would like to be a major TV and film star.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I've got post-it notes galore, affirmations galore. The post-it notes are all over my mirror with all these different affirmations, all these goals that I have set for myself, from appearing on Good Morning America to hosting Saturday Night Live to being paid $20 million a movie, to Shonda Rhimes wanting me to be in her show. You know what I'm saying? Like an offer only joint. I don't have to audition for Shonda. Shonda's be like, yo, you nice. I like you. Come be in my show. That's part of my affirmations, and that came from my coaching that I've gotten.
Mhm. So you also coach other people and help them to be able to realize their dreams as well. So what prompted you to want to do that?
Um, Several things. Financial need and cultural responsibility is the short answer to your question, right? Go to the cultural responsibility first. Each one teach one. I don't know if it's an African proverb or not, but that's what's been taught in my culture, right? When you learn something, before you move on, teach it, pass it down to the next person, help somebody else. As you're climbing the ladder, don't pull it up behind you, leave it down for the next person to be able to climb up behind you. So it came from that, but it also came from a financial need. It was another way for me to supplement my income, to diversify the portfolio, if you will. It was another way for me to make sure that the bills were going to be paid, and I could kill two birds with the same stone. I have some cultural responsibility, passing on what I've learned, but this is valuable information that people will pay for. So why not sell it? There's no harm in that. Profit is not a dirty word.
I love it. I love it. And for a lot of us who are purpose driven entrepreneurs, we have to remember that we are valuable. Our services and our what we are offering to the world is valuable. And being able to get payment from it allows us to be able to eat and turn on the lights and live. And so I know that acting isn't it. I know that there are other things that you are working on as well. So, how was Blackwater Locust Creation Productions created?
Yeah. So longevity in this business is not in front of the camera. It's not acting. The longevity in this business is producing. Ron Howard. At this point, most of the world knows Ron Howard as a producer and director. They don't remember Opie. You know, what was that Happy Days that he was on,
No, it was
or was
I
that
can see it. It's black and white. Yeah,
Andy Griffith's show? There
that
it
part.
is. Right. He start off there, and then he did Happy Days.
Mhm.
Right. And then after that, you ain't seen Ron Howard in front of the camera. It's all behind the camera. So knowing that, I have already started pushing in that direction. My acting career is nowhere near over, but I also want to produce and create content and create opportunities for other actors. And that's where the longevity is going to be. And that's where the longest green is too. That's more money, more money, more money, more money, shun. Right. So I started my own production company about a year and a half ago. And it's called Blackwater Locust Productions. It's an homage to my ancestors, my mom's side of the family. It's all on Blackwater Road in Forest, Virginia. My dad's side of the family is on Locust Street in Lynchburg, Virginia. And they're sister cities or sister municipalities. One is pretty urban, and the other one is very rural. So the name is an homage to them. And so now I am in. I've produced an episode of your show, the very first episode. I'm proud of that. And I am now in the seedling stages, raising the monies that I need to produce my first feature film. It's going to be a short film set in Gullah Geechee culture. Let's slow down. Set in Gullah Geechee culture. It's a psychological thriller called Fishing. I'm going to be co-executive producing that, as well as starring in it. So, create an opportunity for myself to act and to produce. Very excited about that. We're going to shoot that this summer, and then we'll keep it rolling.
And we're excited about that project as well, because we are very much interested in ensuring that we are sharing our cultural stories and the stories that we weren't able to tell before now, so that our children and children's children will know where they've come from. And so the fact that it's not only set in that culture, but it's also a psychological thriller should make it interesting and fun for people to learn more about this culture that is such a huge part of the South. So why that movie? Why would that be the first movie that you start out with?
Well, piggybacking on what you just said, telling the story is important, but telling it right is even more important. We as individuals of a particular culture have a responsibility to tell the stories of our culture, because can't nobody tell it more authentically than us. Can't nobody tell it with more respect than us. And I'm speaking to you from whatever culture you belong in. If you're an Irish person, I can't tell an Irish story better than you can. If you're a Jewish person, I cannot tell a Jewish story better than you can. So tell your own stories, take responsibilities for that, take stereotypes out and dump them on their head, and tell those stories the right way. So I'll say that first. What was your question again?
Why is this the first movie?
This movie, wow. This one's going to be the first because it was an unfinished project that I was attached to. A couple of years ago, I was cast in this film as an actor, and I injured myself a day before shooting. I hurt my knee some weird kind of way. I wasn't, playing around. It's a freak injury, an injury that I've never even heard of, and sure enough, never had before in my life. My IT band became inflamed, and it was the most painful thing that I've ever been through in my life. And I have back troubles, and back trouble ain't got nothing on this. So painful. But I still flew across the country to Charleston, South Carolina, and went through our day of rehearsal. Then the next day of shooting, got through the whole first day of shooting. People having to carry me across set because I couldn't walk, which is so painful. End up getting an injection into my knee the next day, on painkillers, but nothing worked. And during the second day of filming, we got halfway through the second day of filming, and they had to cut the production because the director of photography said, "Hey, we can see the pain in your face. You can't hide it, and we're falling too far behind schedule. We're not going to be able to finish it." And I was just devastated. I didn't want to quit. Didn't want to have the opportunity taken from me because I knew it was such an important story. But for some unknown reason, which is now being fulfilled to me now, it just wasn't time for it to happen then. But I felt an awesome responsibility to everybody involved, because everybody giving their time, their efforts, and their energies. And it was because of me and me alone that they weren't able to finish. So I reached out to the the production company and the writer director 6 months later say, "Hey, did you ever finish that film?" They're like, "No." I was like, "Well, what do you think about me coming on as an executive producer as well as the starring actor? I just started my own production company. We can partner together." They're like, "Yo, let's do it." So that nagging thing has come back around full circle and given me an opportunity to produce it as well as star in it. And we're going to make it happen. And it's funny how things happen. It looked so bleak 2 years ago, and now it's such a wonderful opportunity. All things are working together for your good, no matter what it looks like at the time.
I love that. I love that. And so, the final question that I want to ask you about your production company is, what types of projects do you want to do? Like, what things should people pitch to you?
Oh wow, what a great question! You must do this for a living. You ask great questions. Um, I would probably say I hadn't even thought about that or considered it, but I would probably say along the same lines as my acting career. Like I want my acting career to be like my idols, like Mr. Washington. He's the man, right? But my my idols in the acting industry are Jeffrey Wright, Johnny Depp, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like whatever you see them do is nothing like the last thing you saw them do. And so for my production company, I want it to be the same thing. Keep it fresh, keep doing new, innovative things, something completely different from the last thing that we produce. And so I'm open to all content. Um, yeah, and so we'll get the right people on staff to make sure that we tell the story right, right. If you're Irish or Jewish, you can still pitch to me your idea, but we'll also make sure that we have the right curators on set, um, the right film dramaturg, the equivalent of a dramaturg in theater on set to make sure that we're telling the story right. Make sure that Irish and Jewish people are well represented in the writers' room. All these things are important to make sure that we tell the stories right.
So accurate depictions of the stories that you're telling. I love
Absolutely,
that. I love
absolutely.
that. I love that. So, what final words about being on purpose do you think are important for our audience to hear from you?
Can't nothing stop you. Can't nothing stop you. Once you identify your purpose and you start walking down that path, can't nothing stop you. Things will move out of your way. The seas will part, the forest will move so that you can continue walking on your path. Stay on the path, stay true to your purpose, and nothing can stop you.
Nothing can stop you. Thank you so much, Kerwin Thompson from Blackwater Locust Productions, for joining us for today's Operation Growth Show. We are just thrilled that you have joined us. I asked God to grow, and He said, "Here you go." And then put a whole lot of people in my life who were growing as well. And so I hope that our growth helps you. We'll see you next time on the Operation Growth Show. Have a wonderful day, everyone.